Whoa, yeah, 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 yeah. Burning house, cut the roof on flame. Trying to fit in Babylon, but we don't play that game. Yeah, I told Israel, come out, don't fold. But they sold us a dream, now the street's still cold. Yeah, who should say that you can't serve two thrones? Can't rep the kingdom while you live in their zone. Neighborhood Hebrews, we sounding the alarm. You can't find peace sitting in Esau's home. Yeah, they named him Luther, that's a doctrine trap. Faith without works had our people off track. Same gospel had us praying in chains, while plantation pastor said smile through the pain. MLK had love, but he missed that law. Y'all don't integrate, he separate us on. They gave us seeds, but they kept the keys. Now we work their jobs, but don't know no streets. Neighborhood Hebrews in the trenches with truth. Yahusha in the hood saying choose who you choose. You can march all day, but if Torah ain't there, you just walking in circles in Babylon air. Yeah, burning house, yeah, we smelling that smoke. They gave us civil rights, but we still going broke. Y'all said Israel's supposed to be kings, but we begging for crumbs from crooked regimes. Yahusha knocking, telling us wake up, but we too busy trying to get a seat at the club. Neighborhood Hebrews bringing light to the blind. Ain't no freedom when you still on their time. Ooh, trust me, man, that's a curse in the scrolls. That's why Babylon still got control. Yeah, I want his people set apart, not mixing holy with a wicked heart. Their Black History Month, one piece of the pie, but we built a whole nation, they still tell us lies. They give us one day for MLK, while they stole generations in every damn way. Yeah, I saw the ships, he saw the chains, he saw profit off Israel pain. Yeah, who should say truth gon' set us free? But not if we still in these schools and these schemes. Neighborhood Hebrews, we breaking them spells. No more marching for crumbs in a corporate hell. We don't need statues.
Peace, grace, and mercy. This is your neighborhood Hebrew. We give glory to the Most High Yahweh through Yahusha. That's the truth. By the Ruach, we're guided, not lost or confused. Stay rooted, stay ordered. Let the word be used. Shalom, shalom. Appreciate y'all for tuning on in. Martin Luther King Day. Integration, false doctrine, and how Israel lost its way. Part 1. Who Martin Luther King really was. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist preacher, trained in Western Christian theology, the Lutheran Protestant, educated in white institutions. He was funded, protected, and later controlled by U.S. political structures. This is very well known. He was not a prophet. He was not an Israelite teacher. He was not operating under Torah. By no means. He was operating inside Christian moral reform, not covenant restoration. What Martin Luther King wanted was for Black people to be treated fairly inside of America. But the Most High wanted our people, Israel, to be restored as a separate nation. Those are not the same missions. Part 2. His name, Martin Luther, the root of his doctrine. Martin Luther King was named after Martin Luther, the man who created Protestant Christianity, taught faith without law, rejected Torah, taught the law was done away with, created the system that enslaved our ancestors, both mentally, spiritually, and all of the above. This is the same Christianity that justified slavery, justified colonialism, justified segregation, and justified white supremacy. Martin Luther King inherited that doctrine. So his movement was built on lawless faith instead of covenant obedience. This is why most Christians, especially Baptists, just in general, even Catholics as well, believe what? Faith alone. I don't need any works. I don't need to follow any commands. The law is done away with. That's why Martin Luther King preached love, peace, forgiveness, and unity. That's all a part of prosperity doctrine. This is why we keep getting lost. But what he didn't preach was biblical law, judgment, separation, and Israelite identity to show who we actually truly are. Part 3, integration, which is spiritual death for Israel. Martin Luther King's main goal was integration into white society. But Yahweh, what does he say? Well, let's go over to Numbers chapter 23 and verse 9 in the GNT. From the high rocks, I can see them. I can watch them from the hills. They are a nation that lives alone. They know they are blessed more than other nations. Right here, we're seeing that the Most High is looking at us as a society that is not involved with everyone else. We are separate. We're a separate nation, which is what he wanted us to be. And everything that Martin Luther King was pushing for in his doctrine, this is how you know that he was in cahoots. Even if he didn't outright know it, his doctrine that he pushed was in cahoots with their plan. Let's go over to 2 Corinthians 6 and 17 in the GNT. And so the Most High says, you must leave them and separate yourselves from them. Have nothing to do with what is unclean, and I will accept you. Separation is here, and removing yourself from the things that are unclean. So that's their practices. That's not necessarily them as a people, but it's their practices, their pagan culture, their customs, their traditions, all of those things. And he says, once you remove yourself, he will then accept you. Just as we see in Jeremiah 10 and 2. In the GNT, it says, Yahweh says, do not follow the ways of other nations. Well, remember what we read before. He is taking us away. He wants us to be apart, doing our own thing. Do not be disturbed by unusual sights in the sky, even though other nations are terrified. He doesn't want you to be involved with anything that they're distracted by, because all of these unusual sights in the sky, this is what they're distracted by. These are distractions that they have set up. So don't get caught up in what the media puts out there, just like what happened with Martin Luther King and his whole movement. The media got involved. That's why you, till this day, feel the way you feel about Martin Luther King. Israel was never meant to integrate. The Black community was never meant to integrate at all. We were meant to rule over ourselves. Just like every other nation on the earth, we're just meant to rule over yourselves. Not try to conquer other nations and intertwine like that. No, that's not what it's supposed to be. We're actually supposed to be amongst our people and governing our own people. Integration, it leads to loss of culture, loss of law, loss of land, and loss of identity. I don't know about you, but that's a whole lot of damn loss. Martin Luther King taught us how to live inside Babylon instead of how to come out of Babylon, like the scripture says in Revelation 18 and 4. Part 4. Even Martin Luther King realized that it was a failure. Now, before Martin Luther King's death, he noticed something. I fear I have integrated my people into a burning house. He finally saw that legal rights, that wasn't freedom, that voting, that wasn't sovereignty, and access was not ownership. This is what everything led us to follow. We got jobs in their companies, but no companies, meaning we own no companies. We got homes in their neighborhoods, but we never owned the neighborhood, so we got no neighborhoods. We got degrees in their schools, but no schools. We never owned the school. We never had the ownership of the doctrine that's being pushed to us. So we get indoctrinated, but then they call that education. That's captivity with nicer furniture. Just made it look fancy. Part 5. Why Babylon loves Martin Luther King. America, or Babylon, is what killed Martin Luther King. They turned him into a saint because they propped him up. And when they propped him up, you believed that doctrine that he was spitting. And then they removed him because now they have you as a nation of people following the heathen's way. That's how Babylon works. Kill the man, then control the message. Now Martin Luther King Day teaches obedience, which is what you will do. You will be obedient to the system. You will not go against it. It teaches passivity. You will be passive. You will let things slide. It teaches forgiveness without justice. You will only move according to what it's saying. And you will forgive and forgive and forgive without justice being served. So nobody will ever get charged. It also teaches love without power. All these things are destructive to a community. Martin Luther King became the safe Black leader. Because what does society not want us to be? Aggressive, outspoken, standing in the front, bridging the gap. Now, what does the scripture say? Jeremiah 17 and 5 in the GNT. Yahweh says, I will condemn those who turn away from me and put their trust in human beings. So you have left the Most High to go run and do what humans, man, has said to do in the strength of mortals. We're putting our trust in things and people that die off and will wither away, when the Most High's word has literally been here longer than anybody you've ever known. Part 6. Black History Month is the same trap. Babylon, America, they gave us 1 man and 1 month to celebrate our history while we were here. But meanwhile, our community, our nation, built the economy, created the culture,
fought the wars, made the music, and we were and still are the labor force. They have made us so docile that we're okay with getting this one man celebration, which is back in 1983 is when they federally made it a day, or 86 is when they actually added it to the calendar. And just a few years ago is when they actually made it a day that you would take off from work. So you see, that's how they get you. Just like all these other pagan holidays, they get you to take off of work. And once they get you to take off of work with pay, now they got you. Oh man, we get paid, man. Now you follow into their systems. While most of American history is black so-called history after slavery, but Babylon compresses it into, here's your month, now go back to work. That's not honor, that's containment. They have contained what they would call to be the savage, wild beast, the Negroid man, woman, and child. Part 7, what the Bible and the Apocrypha say about this. Let's go check out Hosea 8:4. My people chose kings, but they did it on their own. They appointed leaders, but without my approval. This is what happens. Nobody went and checked the credentials of Martin Luther King. But because he was put on this pedestal, we just took it as he was going to put us on the right path. It says they took their silver and gold and made idols for their own destruction. So instead of us taking the silver and gold, because we didn't have silver and gold, but what did? We endorsed the man. We put him up on that platform. We put pictures and stuff of him in all of our houses. We pedestalized this man. We idolized this man. And it destroyed us. It says they have set up kings, but not by me. We're supposed to allow the Most High to do that. And yes, he was a fellow Israelite, meaning by blood. But it's not like we put him in a position to be president. Really, what was his position? Just a spiritual leader that was an activist that was just trying to just get us to mold into their program? That's all he was. Let's go to Isaiah 30:1. Yahweh has spoken. Those who rule Judah are doomed because they rebel against me. Here you have a brother who's trying to lead his people, but in actuality, he's rebelling against the Most High and what the Most High said. That's why before he passed away, it is quoted that he said, I have led my people into a burning house. They follow plans that I did not make and sign treaties against my will, piling one sin on another. Here he is signing over agreements for our people that actually go against and contradict what the word says, but he calls himself a preacher or a pastor. Now you tell me, how does this make sense? Well, it doesn't make sense because our elders were supposed to look into this, but we never did. So in the KJV, it says, woe. Woe means destruction to the rebellious children. Michael King, which is his actual name, and his father, they rebelled. That's why they call themselves now Martin Luther, the Lutheran Protestant teachings. It says, take counsel, but not of me. You're taking counsel, but not of the Most High. So where did you get this from? Oh, a political stance. So somebody gave you the game. So you thought. Let's go to Psalm 119, verses 8 and 9. It is better to trust in Yahweh than to depend on people. That's simple. It is better to trust in Yahweh than to depend on human leaders. That's simple. But see, the problem is you don't read your Bible, but you'd rather trust man than the Most High. But the scriptures tell you that it is better to trust Yahweh than man. So you figure that out for yourself. When y'all go read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it's letting us know that Israel, our people, our punishment is being ruled by other nations, putting the spotlight on the fact that he wanted to integrate us to be under subjection to other nations, letting you know further by reading the scriptures that this is punishment. And we rebel thinking that we're supposed to be making things happen. So in our actuality, he didn't do good for us. He did worse for us. So if y'all go read First Maccabees in your Apocrypha, chapter 1, you'll see that we signed agreements, just like somewhere, I'm sure he signed an agreement to go do this, which was actually evil, wicked against his people. Now, was he wicked? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go that far. But his actions of what he was doing very well show that this is wicked. And I'm going through the scriptures to show you exactly why. The second Ezra 14, verses 30 through 34. And received from Yahweh the life-giving law, but they did not keep it. And when your turn came, you did not keep it either. And when it was time for Martin Luther King to actually lead the people, you got everybody's attention, you didn't keep it. His condemnation all the people out there, his judgment will be greater than the average person because he was in control of leading the flock and a large gathering at that. Yahweh gave you the Holy Land as your own possession, but you were as sinful as your ancestors and did not follow the ways of Yahweh, the Most High, in which he had commanded. If we came here due to a punishment, and it says, in our land of our captivity, we shall now wake up. So in the process of us waking up, Martin Luther King set us back. He put another set of blindfolds on our eyes. Yahweh is a just judge. So after a while, he took away what he had given you. Remember how we was all looking up at him, and then immediately he was erased. Now you are in exile here, but you are closer to Jerusalem than some of your own people. So he don't get to see what's happening because it never worked. He left a virus within our people, and that virus was the I have a dream speech, which was actually connected to the American dream. So he was trying to get folks to tie in and buy into the American dream. But that is false because it's not what the word says. It's not in the order in which the word says how to move and how to conduct with all people in order. But if you will discipline your thoughts and be willing to learn, you will be kept safe in this life and will be granted mercy after death. So what didn't we see from Martin Luther King? We didn't see the discipline in his thoughts and willing to learn. He was just in the media all day. Instead of actually reading what the Bible say, understanding that what his dad did by changing their names and giving them this new doctrine, he should have just been jumping in the scriptures to make sure he was on the right track. But he didn't, and he wasn't kept safe. Israel lost truth by following men instead of the Most High's law, because his law is our actual culture of how we're supposed to live. So this is how we continuously keep losing. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verses 12 through 16. Sexual immorality began when idols were invented. So the focus isn't on the sexual immorality, the focus is on the idols of all kinds. They have corrupted human life ever since they were first made. Idols have not always existed, nor will they exist forever. So now this lets you know that these idols are actually attached to people because we do not last forever. It was human pride that brought them into the world. And that is why a quick end has been planned for them. So by putting Martin Luther King on a pedestal for everybody to idolize, it met a quick end because it was not a part of the Most High's purpose and plan. Once there was a father who was overwhelmed with grief at the untimely death of his child. So he made an image of that child who had been suddenly taken from him. Martin Luther King was suddenly taken from us. And since that very time, everybody has had pictures of this man all through their house, next to either the white or the black Jesus, next to your African figurines. He then honored a dead human being as a god and handed on secret rituals and ceremonies to those who were under his authority. This is what we do by keeping in all of these holidays that this place has created, even though it's Martin Luther King Day and that's a brother. No, we're not supposed to be honoring that. We're supposed to honor the things that the Most High told us to honor. Think about if he actually did it the righteous way. We wouldn't have to worry about celebrating his day. It would have been a push to get us to open up our eyes to understand who we truly were all those years ago. And then it would have put us on the right track to having our own separate place. So instead of just celebrating how we celebrate, we would have been all celebrating the feast days together in one community by now. Just wishful thinking on my end. As time went on, this ungodly custom became stronger. Year by year, it continues to get pushed throughout the schools, throughout your families, and everything. Finally, it became law. Finally, 1983, and in 1986, and then a few years ago, it became a part of the calendar that we keep, and now you actually get a paid holiday off for this day. And idols were being worshipped at the command of powerful rulers. Our leaders in our community, President of the United States, probably other presidents of other countries and prime ministers, they're all, as soon as Martin Luther King Day come around, this is what they do. And look how they set it up. They set it up to get you ready for February, for Black History Month. They duped you. Men turn other men into symbols and idols. This is your focus. You're so into getting everybody to follow. The American system raises you to do it this way. And we fall for it hook, line, and sinker. It's Iraq chapter 10, verses 8 to 13. Injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power, and others then rise to take their place. We are only dust and ashes. What have we got to be proud of? Our body decays even while we are alive. 10. A long illness puzzles the doctor. Even a king may be alive today and dead tomorrow. When a person dies, all he then possesses is worms, flies, and maggots. Pride has its beginning when a person abandons the Most High, his maker. This is what we see with Martin Luther King. None of what he was saying was in the scriptures. What he was pushing was prosperity doctrine, was Protestant doctrine, Lutheran doctrine. He was not actually pushing what the Most High actually says to do. Pride is like a fountain pouring out sin, and whoever persists in it will be full of wickedness. So the wickedness was him getting a whole nation of our people be a part of this madness movement. It says in Exodus, don't follow a multitude to do evil. That's simple. This is why Yahweh brought terrible punishments on some people and completely destroyed them. So they want us to celebrate this death of him betraying his God and his people. And this is what you're doing. We're celebrating this man going against us, not being for us. It sounds good because that's the hallmark card and ideology of how they want us to be domesticated according to what they think is right. But it's not right according to what the Most High says. Part 8, let's get some real talk. Martin Luther King gave us a seat at their lunch counter, but in doing so, we lost our own table. Matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. We lost our whole kitchen just to sit at their lunch counter, which is between the hours of, let's say, 12 and 3. So we don't even get a chance to sit there all day. Now we live in the hoods that they created for us, the projects. You go look up Jews or look up the word ghetto, you can see that that's where the Jews are. Across the world, the earth, across the entire earth, where there's a hood, that's where Negroes are. We follow their calendars, Gregorian calendar. We keep their holidays. That's what we do. We celebrate what they tell us to celebrate. We follow what they tell us to follow. And we work for their corporations. If we were under the Most High's calendar, doing our own thing, so while they're celebrating what they're celebrating, we're working. While we're celebrating what the Most High celebrates, they are working. You see? Because that's separate. That's being set apart. But you guys choose not to. You guys choose to keep following with what they do. That's not freedom. That's polite slavery. Part 9, what Israel, our community, should be doing instead. Instead of Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month, and integration of worship and all of these things, we should be keeping the Sabbaths, honoring the new moons as the new months coming in, teaching the Torah, which is the law, which is our culture and lifestyle. We should be rebuilding the neighborhood, our communities, and separating from Babylon. We don't need to be here like this, not in this capacity, because it's going to keep us at a disadvantage. And by being in a disadvantage, it hurts us more than it helps us. We don't need acceptance. We need restoration. Part 10 is class discussion questions. Pause the video after each question before I give an answer. Question 1, was Martin Luther King evil? No, but he was theologically misled. Just like when you see people that call themselves theologians, or they went to seminary school, you can be misled because the actual school that's teaching you this is feeding you education, which is indoctrination, which is not spiritually being led by someone, an Israelite, to guide you in the ways of an Israelite book. So you can't come at it from a quote unquote Christian mindset, not unless you're under the understanding that a Christian is actually a Hebrew. Question 2, why did integration weaken us? Because we gave up self-rule for access. All we wanted was just a piece of what they had instead of ruling and running our own communities. So basically, we didn't want the responsibility of having to run our own business. We'd rather be an employee in their business. Question 3, why is Martin Luther King Day spiritually dangerous? It teaches us to honor men instead of Yahweh. It's the reverse of what the Bible says. The Bible says not to be a respecter of person, but following Martin Luther King Day, this tells us to be a respecter of person and to follow the Most High. Secondly, let's do what makes the people feel good. Let's make everybody else happy, and then we'll see if this lines up with the Most High. That's backwards. Question number 4. Why is Black History Month misleading? Because it minimizes our role in world history. Us Israelites or our Shemitic cousins or Semitic cousins. You cannot minimize our role because we are involved and intertwined in everything on this earth. We have a hand in it. Question 5. What replaces Martin Luther King Day? You have your Sabbaths, your new moons, and covenant identity. So this is letting you know that you need to move more so towards the Bible's calendar and understanding who you are according to the Bible. This again is if you say you believe in the Bible. And if you don't, well, there's nothing else that we can say. All you need to understand is the way that we're supposed to move and how we're supposed to move is all given and done by the Most High, and that we all need to come back to the Most High. And if you don't believe in the Bible and the Most High, then everything that you're doing right now will be harder for you in life. So I hope this is edifying. I hope this brought you some clarity, some understanding about this day, and that you go do some more research on it and understand that we need to stop idolizing men and women and start giving the glory to the Most High and honor what He said to do and the things He said to celebrate and commemorate.
Peace, grace, and mercy. This is your neighborhood Hebrew. We give glory to the Most High Yahweh through Yahusha. That's the truth. By the Ruach, we're guided, not lost or confused. Stay rooted, stay ordered. Let the word be used. Shalom, shalom. Appreciate y'all for tuning on in.
Streets or a holiday, we need Torah, new moons and Yah's way. Lord and how, better step outside. Yeah, I ain't called Israel to just survive. Yeah, who should say it? Come follow me, not follow Martin in the Babylon streets. Neighborhood Hebrews, we taking it back. From slave to king, that's the covenant map. You can't build Zion on Caesar's land. Gotta walk with Yah, not reach for their hand. They set up kings, yeah, I never chose. That's why Israel staying low. Yeah, who's your reign? Not no man. Time to come out, take a righteous stand. This ain't hate, this is straight up truth. Yeah, I ain't racist, but He chose a people too. Israel royal, bloodline deep, but we traded that for American dreams. They got us vote happy, broke, and confused. Still praying to Jesus while rejecting Yahushua's rules. Neighborhood Hebrews, we speaking that fire. Torah on deck, taking Babylon higher. We don't want inclusion in a wicked regime. We want restoration of a righteous kingdom. Y'all said we kings and now begging for grace. Time to walk in power, not integration change. Don't come out of Babylon, that's the call. Y'all ain't blessing mixed worship at all. Y'all who's coming with the kingdom crown. Neighborhood Hebrews, we holding it down. It's that neighborhood Hebrew truth, not politics. Covenant, not integration. Restoration. Glory to the Most High, y'all. In Yahushua's name. Peace, grace, and mercy.